5 minutes to the start of session. So just while people kind of trickle in, I'll just make a few programming announcements. So today we're going back to stages of meditation by Kamalaśīla. And that's going to be our topic for all of the weeks through to the 21st of December. So we'll have about 7 weeks on this. And along with the Bhāvanākrama, the stages of meditation, Geshe is going to also give commentary on the 21 taras, And so connected with that commentary on the 21 taras, Geshe is going to give the lung, the oral transmission, I would say like towards the beginning of class today, And in terms of the translation that we'll use, there's a very nice translation from Lama Zopa Rinpoche, so that's what we'll be using this time. If you want to get this translation, you can get it from the FPMT store. The download is for free or by donation, so you just have to put your email address in there and then you can download it and you will have the same version of the 21 taras that I do. And then in terms of programming that is coming up, I guess the main thing that I should mention connected with that is this Tuesday morning. Sunrise is at 7:08 a.m. in Burlington, Ontario. So Geshe will, in honor of the Buddhist Holy Day, which falls on Tuesday, he is going to give the Mahāyāna precepts, the Tekshen Sojong. This is a really nice practice to do on holy days where merit is multiplied. So basically, you go through the ceremony with Geshe, and then for 24 hours, you're keeping like the 8 Mahāyāna precepts. There's a link on our website, which Manoshi put in with the description that explains a little bit about that. The main thing is that you are fasting from food for 24 hours. This is what it is, but it doesn't mean you don't eat for 24 hours. It just means no food after noontime for 24 hours. So you can have lunch on the Tuesday, and then you fast until sunrise on the Wednesday. That's how it works. And then along with that, we also know people are in different time zones. So Geshe will also give transmission of prayer to be reborn in the land of bliss. We also put a link there for Lama Zopa Rinpoche guiding the precepts ceremony. And that's specifically because Rinpoche allowed people to do it by the recording. So if for some reason our timing doesn't work with you, maybe you're in Europe, maybe you're on the west coast of the US or something like that, you can still do the practice by taking those precepts from the recording. So really highly encourage people to do that. And then in terms of our programming, of course, we have Yamantaka commentary coming up the 3rd Saturday of this month. And then I believe the 4th Saturday, I'll go through the sadhana practice with folks for those who are interested. And we also have our literature circle, our usual pujas, and all of those things. So if you have not signed up for the newsletter, please do. That's the best way to keep track of all of our activities. And now that we are 2 minutes to 10, I'll be quiet. I'll invite Geshe down. Get yourself a cup of tea or coffee. We'll get started momentarily. Great to see everybody. Happy Sunday.
just the Rindu Kawanas. That's right. Rigmarwa. There's not, yeah.
So hello, folks. Let's just do a quick sound check. Can you hear me okay? Okay, great. And a quick sound check for Geshe, especially. And can you hear Geshe's voice? Okay, great. So I am going to leave the sound for musicians on just until the oral transmission is finished. Because of how Geshe chants, you'll hear it better. But then after that, I'll turn that off for the lecture so that the sound is better.
Yes, what? Oh, yeah, that can get Tashi Dele to Kanga de Water Kiwo, the Nilo Yapon.
So first of all, Tashi Dele, greetings to all. Geshe hopes that you are all well and happy. He hopes that all of your study and practice is going nicely.
Oh, there, Tanganzo, the rich and rich, there, Tanganzo, Taleka, Chemboyores, Yapotana.
If we consider the reason why we are gathered together today kind of correctly, we'll see that in fact we are gathered together for a very great and meaningful purpose. And this is because, of course, any activity which is connected with the Dharma is necessarily deep and necessarily vast. And why is this the case? And why is it our responsibility to do it well? Because it is through the Dharma that our own welfare can be perfectly accomplished, and it is through the Dharma that we can also help others accomplish their welfare. And also, often we speak about self-love, self-compassion, the importance of these things. But if we understand that principle correctly, it's actually through working for the welfare of others that we show compassion for ourselves. Ale. Di danda kare dugi. Yeah. Yeah. So if we look at the different sentient beings within samsara, not just ourselves, other human beings, animal beings, indeed all 6 types of sentient beings, we can see that they are so engaged time after time in trying to achieve their own welfare. But due to focusing on their own welfare alone, the irony is they don't actually achieve it. And it's because that doesn't work, right? This is the reason why we need to transform our mindset, transform our activities to try to achieve that bodhicitta, which is rooted in the minds of love and compassion. It's easy, of course, to say these words from our mouth. It's easy to pray to develop these qualities, right? That's the easy part. So imagine that you are going for, you have to go to travel to a particular destination, right? And as you are traveling, very heavy rain begins to fall. And as you are walking along this road in the rain, you see in your line of vision some kind of empty house or building. So if you take the initiative to locate that house and walk inside, you will be protected from the fall of the rain. But if you just stay outside saying, I need shelter, I need shelter, I need shelter, that mere wish isn't enough to solve the problem. When our practice is not steady and focused, this is actually exactly what it's like. It's like standing in the rain saying that we need shelter. So just the words alone, even just hearing the words alone, that's not going to be enough to get the maximum benefit, right?
Social me matzani touches over yina. Ale rumba tombo tela, Shiva Shamala Nesol Mandroiga, Dice Nipa, Chimbochi Yodome, Deo Yapotagares.
So the holy beings kind of tell us to look at this process of cultivation in steps. And so the first thing that we want to do is say that, is my practice enough to protect me from falling into the unfortunate states of existence, for example? Is it enough to do that? Can I say 100% that I don't, not only will I not fall into the lower states of existence, but also I have accumulated enough virtue with sufficient motivation to be reborn in the higher realms, in the human and the deva realms, for example? So we can ask ourselves that. So if we don't have that in place as kind of the first step, then saying these words of bodhicitta and trying to aspire to developing that, we're not going to be able to achieve that easily, right, without those previous steps in place. So if we can't say for certain that we've done enough to achieve those favorable rebirths, we've done enough to prevent falling into the unfortunate states, then where we need to place our focus to begin is definitely on the practice of refuge. Di younger sundang dengan so kamro tempo mena.
Miso gewat jachimbo tempo dato mena yo. Tayo chando ko toni rawat janela tempo siena. Yo o lela wonda wochi ko toni ta shiwa śamatha nesol towachu yuares.
Oh, so even if we are not necessarily able to accumulate the vast merit, the vast virtue that we want through our practice, through, right, a real cultivation of refuge, this can actually be enough in and of itself to prevent us falling into the unfortunate states. So there's many kind of accounts in the scriptures of, for example, long-lived devas, long-lived god beings who, through the powers of their clairvoyance, they saw that their merit was coming to an end. They saw that next rebirth was going to be as an animal. They lamented, and then they were introduced to the practice of refuge, and through that they were able to prevent.
So of
course, it goes without saying that love, compassion, and the bodhicitta rooted in those is like kind of extremely important, what we're trying to develop. But the point here is that we need a preliminary basis for the development of that. So then if we think about our life right now, the aspects of our life that we can perceive physically, Ale. So if you were to think of going to a kind of just a this lifetime example, right? If you were to think of going to a place that you can't see the path clearly, that maybe it's under the cover of darkness or something, you can't see where you're going clearly, that is going to be a much more terrifying journey to the place that you can't see, as opposed to a place that you can see and get to easily.
다 던딜 따와 이나요. 챈데도 셔만이가 눈에 다 챈데 가침보도 가침보 할레비 가침보래스. 뭐션러와 다 이나요. 데일리 여뻗다와 이나 뭐 셔만이 봐서 가치가 저디 와래스.
And so, kind of using this as an example, we can say that certainly this current lifetime is something that is very important. It goes without saying that it's very important. But even more important than that, and more uncertain than that, is the lifetime that we can't see, right? Is that subsequent lifetime or lifetimes.
다 디세이는 리가. 안에서 몸보래스.
And why it's more important, I mean, we can just, there's a lot of reasons, but one is that it's a lot more period of time that's going to be covered in all those subsequent lifetimes than just the current lifetime. So anyways, enough preliminary remarks. We're going to take a moment to relax and focus the mind. So we want our body to be at ease, and we want to be able to purify and calm our mind. And to do this, we can think of a vast, calm ocean on a windless day. We want our mind to be like that.
Chukini yoba chilele yoba yine kini kanga bol pandone ko tsuma chagra was te noji da se yo somano.
And when we place our mind in stillness like this, it's a little bit like placing a cup of water with lots of particles in it on a table. Slowly, slowly, all of those particles will settle and the water will become clear.
Chi rujila kenye me panuji se korogo rujila lumati yina korogo rujila ta chuma charo kanji china kongi ta rujila me somato.
So just like the water with the particles settled has this quality of purity and clarity, similarly, when we settle into the fundamental nature of our mind, its neutrality, its equanimity, this is also clear and pure.
Nyomo kanji china kanga teki se kanga lowo achire matko se do ruje tembo ndipachi mare tembo deto kiti mare somachi.
Any stain, in other words, any affliction or disturbed state that arises in the mind, it is adventitious. It can be removed. It is not the mind's true nature.
Pena machila tsewa ane shomba niji kaze pake deba yina sedo nyondo kontro do ta twa do teji konyo yomo toba yitsa oji se tendile taba yina yo se ruji koro yapore.
We can posit that the fundamental nature of the mind actually from one perspective, is something positive. How can we posit this? Well, we know that if we bring forth in our mind the qualities of affection, of love, and of compassion, when those qualities are present in the mind, anger, resentment, and things like attachment cannot arise. That's how we can know.
괜히 쳐있는 게 괜히 좀아서 노지 컨트롤라 소바 차도라 소바 칼레 파 퓨처른도 칼레 세노야 그 정지지레 마도 다 템포데 토야 그 정지지문디스.
So these qualities, if we take any of the afflictions, for example, as an example, like anger, jealousy, and so forth, we know that as we develop our positive qualities, they'll diminish and diminish and diminish until they are no longer present. This is possible because anger, jealousy, and the afflictive minds do not exist from their own side. They do not exist inherently.
shomba niji zebala soba kaze page komba yena ta ko page nipa chere chena ron tar tashiman wa ga ya chembo ro je tri za chembo yo somba.
The nature of our mind is also such that it empowers positive qualities like love, compassion, and patience when we apply habituation. When we habituate ourselves to these minds, love, compassion, and patience become more and more and more powerful until they are stabilized and perfected completely.
Se ya pot rujen yo zu ge te tashima de tri shu le da pagin ro gi tane soma no ji da o shala no ji.
So we can think, this mind that possesses these qualities, may I bring it to the state where I can work for the welfare of others perfectly. Please bestow your blessings upon me to do this. So we'll pause there. And so we'll begin with the prayers on the first page. The praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. Dhamma chomden de jin sheba dra chomba yanda par zope sangye ribadang shabsu dewa sheba jiten gemba gebuduwe kalo gyorwa lana meba ladami namgi temba sangye chomdende pejawa shakya tubala chaselo chede gyavsu chiho
Tenpa chondende deshin sheba drachomba yang daba zobe songye sheba dang shasu tenpa dewa sheba sheten chenpa chebu duwe kalo jurwa lana meba ladang mi namgi tenpa songye chondende pe jawa shakya tuba la chase lo chede kyasu chi o tenpa chondende deshin sheba drachomba yang daba zobe songye reba dang shabsu tenpa dewa sheba shiten chenpa chebu dewe kalo jura lana meba ladang mi namgi tenpa songye chondende pe jawa shakya tuba la chase lo chede kyabsu chi o.
And now we will do the short mandala offering. Quickly, Geshe said he doesn't want a long mandala offering today, so you'll find that on 27 in the booklet.
Saji pegi joji meto chan rira blingji nide gyamba de sangye jindu mite bovagi drogu namda jingla chepa sho idam guru ratna mendala kam niryata yami.
And we end with refuge and bodhicitta.
Chedang sogi chenam lai changshu bardu dani kyasu chi dagi chenyen gi be sonam gi drola benshi sangye droba sho. Chedang sogi chenam lai changshu bardu dani kyasu chi dagi chenyen gi be sonam gi drola benshi sangye drobar sho. Chedang sogi chenam lai changshu bardu dani kyabsu chi dagi chenyen gibe sonam ge drola penjir sangye drobar sho.
뭐야 다 그저 뭐 먼저 다 보게 아니 세 단계라 반오지 40% 주반라고 지요아레스 마로속 세대.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just trying to toggle that sound feature to improve the sound for a moment, but it won't toggle in the usual way. Just give me one moment. It will help. Yangersun dangi.
단가로속 세대 보게 사자.
Yeah.
주반라고 지더스.
So we have this mind, right, from these preliminary remarks that we know has these qualities of clear and clarity and knowingness. It is clear and knowing.
어떤 아주 통과요 말이야 마도 다 단다 받은 니빠 써자야데 니빠 요가 쇼이네 누가 쇼이네 다 니빠니네 주인다고 지는 좀벌을 무쇼하지 세디나디 바레스
정원식 선생님.
좀벌을 마쇼 야사메 봐 주인 잘한다고 지나
Aleloso. And we can also understand that within our mind there are many potentials, right? Some of those potentials are wholesome and some of those are unwholesome. In fact, there's so many potentialities, or you could say seeds, within our mind that the surface of this great earth would not be enough to contain them.
어따 셔와 투메레스 기와라와스 던디기 싸비가 니빠 강가 세티냐디 와레스.
So why is that the case? It's because those potentialities, right, have been collected since beginningless lifetimes within samsara. So that is why there are so many of them. So like, don't even think like, you couldn't contain them all within your physical form. Like, that's not even thinking big enough in terms of the number of these. The surface of the earth of this planet would not be enough to contain all of these potentialities if they had a physical form.
This is what it is.
So the problem for us right now is that the potentialities that we have, which are unwholesome, are the ones that are more powerful at this moment. And that is why we experience we experience life as something so difficult, as something with so many problems.
다 땡간 줬다 나고 근데 왔어. 니모 바사한테 코치 추주질라 때문에 강가지 코니라고 세운 것도 왔어.
We can see this in our own mind so easily. It only takes the smallest unpleasant circumstance or misunderstanding to get the afflictions really sort of riled up within our mind.
다 세계 예때르지 고자야라 미니네 제나 파마냐니라 키고 제나라 고자 추야할 때 간저처럼 돈을 되게 요.
And, you know, it's just this lack of habituation too that explains, like, you know, these positive mental qualities. We know that if we meditated on them, we would be much happier people. But because of that lack of habituation to them, it's really difficult to motivate ourselves to do that.
다 던지지 다 땡간 준 저와도네 니빠 두가르지 파 좀아서 니빠 야가르지 아니 세야지 다루로 소소를 가래 돼요.
So the task before us here is we have to kind of try to diminish and clear away those unwholesome potentialities within our mind. And we need to recognize, develop, and ripen the positive potentialities or seeds within our mind.
다 단단한저 된돌어요. 이제 할 레벨 거가 첨부. 니네 까마레레 체세레레가 놀아요. 세제 요조라 템비 디파샤야. 세제 요조라 템비 겨와서 아토야. 나졸 거가 드니지요.
While we have this human form, in fact, a great opportunity lies before us. We can make every moment, every hour of this life powerful, a powerful way to purify the negativities we've accumulated on the basis of all sentient beings and accumulate virtues on the basis of all sentient beings. If we were in an unfortunate realm of existence, you know, even for a long period of time, we wouldn't have the opportunity to be able to cultivate so easily. So that means that with the current rebirth we have, it is like we are on an island of jewels, right? We have everything that we need to practice. And if we think about the cause of having this opportunity now, it means that in previous lifetime, we definitely engaged powerfully with what is wholesome. So having recognized this opportunity, then we just have to make sure that we don't waste it. And in fact, what we want to strive to do is continuously improve and get better. And the start of being able to do that effectively is something really simple. You know, first of all, we must acknowledge that in this life, we're going to encounter different obstacles and challenges, but as much as possible, we have to still try to reflect on what an incredible opportunity this is, and concordant with that, how many reasons we have to be happy. This is really important. And also just keep in mind that these positive mental qualities that we should seek to develop, these need assisting factors, for example, like mindfulness. We need to apply mindfulness to both our mental and our physical activities. If we don't have like a stable body, if we don't have a steady mind, then not only does it make it harder to accumulate what is wholesome, it also means that we can degenerate the wholesome things we have amassed. So you'll if you're familiar with the Lamrim, the stages of the path teachings, you'll know very well it speaks about recognizing the precious human rebirth of freedoms and opportunities. In fact, another name for that set of teachings could be recognizing all of the reasons you have to be happy. So, you know, that's kind of one of the first steps in preparing the mind for practice, you know, appreciating that opportunity. Otherwise, if we have just constant dissatisfaction, we think like, this is not okay, this isn't going well, I didn't do this right, will just increase, first of all, our mental dissatisfaction, and this can also lead to physical problems, right?
샤와 샤마도 냐소도 들다게 마타마토란 저기도 왔어. 저벌린델 따나요. 나도 통에도 왔어.
And when we look at dissatisfaction and affliction, when we look at the result of that, we don't even need to think just of future lifetimes, right? We can just look at the state of this world right now and see the destructiveness of those minds.
다 던질 따네 다 소소 다 가리나 내서 추파 강에 추주존에 다리 셀레서야 다 같이 못지래.
So just kind of trying to have perspective on our problems, recognizing that our problems are relatively small, and with that, being able to keep our mind relaxed, and with that, being able to keep our physical health stable. This is so, so important. Because if you have those two things in place, then all of the other activities you need to engage in, as well as your practice, as well as training in hearing, contemplation, and meditation, you'll be able to do that, in a much more satisfying way. So sorry, I guess you said too many preliminary remarks, but let us take a moment now to develop our motivation. So we're going to do this by focusing the mindfulness awareness on the breath as a way of relaxing the body and the mind. So you count the inhalations and exhalations together, breathing in, I'm aware I'm breathing in, breathing out, I'm aware I'm breathing out, and we try to come to 9 counts of focus. So what we're going to do next is we're going to breathe in, so we'll breathe in, hold that for a moment, and then exhale deeply, and we'll do that 3 times as means of cleansing the wind. So the body and mind are different, more peaceful and relaxed than before. And on the basis of this newly calm and at ease body and mind, I will bring forth the minds of refuge and bodhicitta. So we want to visualize in the space in front of us, which is a beautiful, pure realm, many beautiful seats. And upon those seats is our root Lama, lineage teachers, and the great Panditas like Kamalaśīla, but all in the form of Aryatara. Green Tara in this case, so we visualize them all in the form of green Tara. And we imagine that gazing up towards the assembly of holy beings. At the ground level with us are all 6 types of sentient beings, but with human form, with minds of faith, confidence, wisdom, and love, looking up towards those objects of refuge.
Di jela ten jitsi drame tuki toyele geze ta chaba baba no jinga ru so so ta shi wone ma shuni li chi kang se ji kang kang pa u go ne ma the so so ma.
We can imagine that at the heart of each of the taras within that vast assembly, coming from Aleta Tam, beautiful light rays and nectars emanate. They enter the crowns of all sentient beings and fill their bodies with blissful nectar, completely purifying all negativities and obscurations, physical and mental problems.
I
Think, I have received in a stable way the blessings of holy body, holy speech, and holy mind of Venerable Tara. And think, bringing forth, having received these blessings, this courageous attitude, that I will help all these 6 types of sentient beings clear away suffering, reach every stable happiness. And in order to do this, I myself will actualize the state of Venerable Tara. I will achieve the enlightenment that she did. If I achieve the enlightened state of Venerable Aryatara, she is said to be the embodiment of the wind element of all of the Buddhas. This means that she is able to help beings bring forth positive qualities quickly. She is able to engage in enlightened activities supremely swiftly. Therefore, achieving this state is a wondrous goal. So we'll pause there. Oh, loso. So then Geshe said that when you visualize Aryatara like we just did, but this also goes for other deities that you might visualize, you can imagine them within the context of refuge, that their holy bodies are the Sangha jewel, their holy speech is the Dharma jewel, and their holy minds, sorry, I messed that up, I'm sorry. Konso Kudi, I'm not awake this morning apparently. Yeah, Hakusunti. Gedun Kuncho, right? Yeah,
Ale.
투이데 손지 견조.
Yes, sorry, yes, that makes more sense. So their holy bodies are the embodiment of the Sangha jewel. Their holy speech are the embodiment of the Dharma jewels. And their holy minds are the embodiment of the Buddha jewels. In this way, they encompass the three jewels of refuge.
어다 드네 견조서 중화지 보게. 어다 소소시나 요들이 셔야레스.
So therefore, when we kind of visualize and take refuge in them, we're also able to make that a combined practice of taking refuge in all three jewels.
어다 노진나조 면자와는 드네 요야레. 어다 대지바레든 가와치 지야자는 주요야레스.
So Geshe is referencing this way of encompassing the three jewels within the deities from commentaries on the Vajrayogini practice in particular, but the same sort of reasoning can be applied to the practice of all deities.
어다 드지레스. 어다 샤 다두게 샤이지나 가스도 세이나 다두게 견조서 중화지 요바 타체데야레스.
And so, they are our final objects of refuge, right? These fully enlightened Buddhas, because they encompass the essence of all of these three jewels.
어다 딘디바지. 야다 가서 걸로시 다자서 단도는 마시던 로가라스.
So now that we have developed our motivation, we will go through the various stages of the topics that we are touching on today.
어다 고르 바바시긴도 와서 어다 고미름 바다 주준데.
So I'm reminding Geshe of the lung of Tara today. Otherwise, we advertised that, right? So Geshe said, otherwise Kedrup will complain. No, it's also for all of your benefits, So Kedrup had a reason to complain today, apparently. So anyways, we will now prepare the transmission. Sorry, what's not okay? Is the audio not good? I'm seeing a whole bunch of messages coming up. I feel like I have to read them.
Steve's video froze, but everybody else is saying they're fine.
Okay, yeah, no, it's I don't think it's from our side because it looks like everything's good here, but sometimes computers and Zoom can do that. Zoom updates can also be the cause of that, just so you know. But if you log in again, you should be okay. Dave will let you in again. Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry, go ahead. So just listen with an attentive mind as Geshe gives the oral transmission. And I just want to put the sound on the setting so that you can hear this in the best possible way. Okay, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, so Geshe said that included within the particular text that he has, and actually this is not in the translation of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, there's the abbreviated praises to Tara based upon the syllables, so that's a short way of praising each of the 21.
ane tseri momo de teiza yizi doma mo gaji na ji sa na gaji na ma ji na ane cholo tseya perndogundus.
So this relates to a story where somebody was facing some life obstacles, and actually their lama kind of recommended to them that if you are able to recite like 100,000 or however many thousands of the praises to Tara, then you will be able to have longevity.
But he didn't
have the time to do 100,000 recitations of all of the 21 praises to Tara, right? He wasn't able to do that. So the Lama replied, well, I can give you one short verse that encompasses the essence of all of the 21 praises, and in this way he was able to complete those extensive recitations. Geshe had to borrow my document, so I'm just going to read you the verse in English because it's not in the translation we're using, but everything else will be the same. The actual 21 will be the same. So this condensed verse goes something like this: homage to Tara, swift and valiant; homage to Tutare, who banishes fear; homage to Ture,
who fulfills every need. With svaha, we offer homage. So Geshe said, if you're really short on time, you can do this verse as your praises to Tara. But if you're just lazy and not really short on time, that's not a good excuse. You should do all the 21 verses. Yeah. Because the 21 actually carry great blessing. They're in the Kangyur, which mean that they are regarded as the words of the Buddha, as spoken by the Buddha himself. So they carry great blessing and are very good to recite. And if you look at any of the great kind of monasteries in South Asia, in Tibet, and so forth, the practice of reciting these 21 taras is something that you will find is one of the most frequently completed practices. In fact, in the debate ground, so when the monks are debating, when they have both a morning and an evening debate, the praises to the 21 taras are recited at the beginning of both those sessions. So that's the brief condensed one that I just read out to you in English. And now this will be the actual praises to the 21, which in Lama Zopa Rinpoche's translation starts on page 6. Sorry, Geshe, I just missed a verse, so I was just letting him know. It's my bad. Anyways.
Shānta sāshī shūyī tsō nō tōjī ngūpa nī mā nyō mā tōnyī yō yī kī ngū pōmbā tōjī nō bā tō mā shātā dāyī tōwī jī jī bā tōjī shānta mā rābī chānā kī bā mē lī tā bā shānta kī rān tsē mā shātā kāwā tāwī mē tā bā yī chī nā nī ye chō yī kā kī kō kī dāyī pī nō mā nyō mā shātā sāshī ngī lā shō tōjī nā jī chā jī tō mā tōnyī shānta kī ngū rāmbā dāmbō nō nā kī mā shātā Dema Gema Shama, Yangi Dishi, Yama, Sowa, Doyoda, Diba Jama, Yama, Shazakane Koragai, Dailin number, Dailin Rada Gema, you get you on a gay, Bawale Romania, Shatadereshana, the Hongan Besabe, Yama, Ramadaradome, Jitesano Yovanyama, Shazalayu, Rotota Jeshana Nama, Tara, Taraniji Peja, Tunomale, Panasema. Śāntarakṣita sono jābo la tomo yama shala tomo go chi de kone go jaga wa je je te tomo longa ba se ma shada nyama da wa je shini pola ra ge ra sa ma harani ji tara shinda trapi je ne se ma shaza te ni sa no ke shi ta dong yong da de ma de dong ro ne ju sono ju ba ta re ra jun za yin wa je de ban de dong sha za wa ne ni shi za ji.
Yes, so this concludes the oral transmission of the 21 praises to Tara. Yeah, and so Geshe said actually there's some verses that follow the 21 praises expressing the benefits, and maybe he can transmit the verses about the benefits on another occasion.
Oh, yeah, 아니 다 대전도 맞아 다 칼라 누지가 다 그거 로소소 디세 요리 배제 또 도와서 그거 알았어.
So then we turn now to the stages of meditation by Kamalaśīla. And so the stages of meditation, if we engage with this correctly, this gives us every opportunity to be able to purify all obscurations, every opportunity based on these instructions to accumulate vast merits. And so we should see these instructions as like as in the nature of food, as something that we really want to take within us and savor.
대래 저거도와 다 가정 안조 라바 노지 단기 그런 시에다 바 노지 지지 도메고 공부 손지고 공부 얘는 내가 요하나 다니 소니 다시니 대답 셀그요 아레스.
So if we really want to be able to accomplish the things that we set out in the motivation, for example, achieving the state of Aryataras, the state of enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings, then we need to do this based upon the combined practices of method and wisdom, and based upon accumulating the collections of merit and wisdom, right? This is how it happens.
다티 사조 딜레 디어레스 다 그조 쇼주게세 쇼주세 그조 쇼주게세
And so, in fact, part of where we are in the text is covering those things exactly. And in particular, the language here speaks about the practices related to relative bodhicitta and the practices related to ultimate bodhicitta. So, realizing relative and ultimate bodhicitta, right? Practicing is one thing, but realizing, not such an easy thing. To realize relative bodhicitta, one has to achieve the state of a bodhisattva. To realize ultimate bodhicitta, one must be an Arya bodhisattva, right? A superior bodhisattva. But what does that mean for us? It means that we receive these instructions and we try to think, we try to practice in a way as similar to the bodhisattvas as we can. This is how we apply those instructions. And also keep in mind, ultimate bodhicitta is not speaking about the mind of bodhicitta itself, although bodhicitta is like a moistening or enhancing factor, but it's not, ultimate bodhicitta is not bodhicitta as we usually think of it. And when we speak about the, I just have to I have my vocab list ready here, some new vocab today. So when we speak about this mind of ultimate bodhicitta, really this means this direct realization of emptiness through which dualistic appearance is set. So set here is, so just want to get permission. So set here is the Tibetan word nup, which means the sun setting. So not like set the table, but the sun setting. And so Geshe said the setting of dualistic appearance, this is language that maybe we haven't used much before in class. You want to familiarize your mind a little bit with what that means. So we talk about the paths of accumulation, preparation, and seeing, right? These are the 5 paths. These are the first 3 of the 5 paths. When we come to the path of seeing, it is on the path of seeing where we can speak of a setting dualistic appearance. Or maybe just to make it a little easier to understand, I'll say clearing away dualistic appearance. So when we say dualistic appearance, we might say, well, what is that? And how many different kinds of dualistic appearance are there? Normally we speak of 3. So the 3 are So kunzuk gi nangwa is relative or conventional appearance. That's the first dualistic appearance. The second one is yul yulchen tade gi nangwa. That is the appearance of a separation of object and object possessor. And the third one, dendruk gi nangwa, is the dualistic appearance of true existence. Do people need those again, or is that okay? You want them again? Yes. Okay. It's a little new, right? So we can talk about these three types of dualistic appearance. The first is relative or conventional appearance. The second is the appearance of a separation or separate entities of object and object possessor. And the third is the dualistic appearance of true existence or inherent existence, you could say. When we meditate on emptiness and we are able to clear away these three types of dualistic appearance, then we can say we have set the mind or we have cleared away the mind of dualistic appearance. Yeah. So Geshe just wants to clarify here, for a Buddha, right, this first one, the relative or conventional appearance, that's not a problem because they're always perceiving relative and ultimate together, right? But before we reach Buddhahood, this is something that has to be cleared away in the context of emptiness meditation. Yeah. So these three types of dualistic appearance, they are very important, deep meanings here, and of course we will be discussing them more in the future. Yeah. Yeah. Right, right. So Geshe is just clarifying that for the Arya Bodhisattva, right, we have said that this being is capable of setting or clearing away these three types of dualistic appearance within the mind. But we should be clear that that is happening only when they are in meditative equipoise upon emptiness. That these three types of clearing away dualistic appearance, that is not something that is happening when they are engaged in the practice of the other perfections, for example, generosity and so forth, because those are engaged with according to relative or conventional appearance. So when we meditate on emptiness currently, we are also not able to bring forth this state completely separated from dualistic appearance. And because we are still doing that, meditating on emptiness with a conceptual mind. And when the conceptual mind is present, we cannot speak of clearing away dualistic appearance completely. Yeah. So we can look at meditation on emptiness as kind of clear, peeling through the layers of an onion, right? So we come to the path of accumulation and then the path of preparation. As we come to the end of the path of preparation, we reach the path of seeing. At the moment we reach the path of seeing, there is that direct, incontrovertible realization of emptiness. And it is at that moment that it is possible to clear away dualistic appearance completely. So I just want to kind of tighten the language I used here. So the moment that the direct realization of emptiness is established within the mind, at that moment, dualistic appearance is cleared away completely.
어다 대지스만 살로그 치 사도 로건 로비가 치 베제 요아레서 갈래.
So when we speak about the grounds and paths, right, these words like dualistic appearance and so forth are used quite frequently, and these concepts are explored in more depth.
오야 단로기 가디 가와레.
Katu kawaresana nganso di Papa Gompa Ngepa Jewe.
오 파파 구망 개반데와 데니엘레 와.
Yeah,
조젠
Jampa.
데지.
Jampa Kangyang Yente.
아이나.
Yeah, Jukshireshi.
오야 단데 근데. 덴저바나 또다 기파 디tat.
Yeah,
디tat 시테 소리.
yeah.
통세.
Yeah.
덴저바나
Ganso Dejupanus Kawadu.
디tat 가로 파파 구망가 디tat.
Papa Gompa Jewa
디쿠마테.
Ganglasana Dejup ni Taktu. Okay, right.
된
Okay.
저반은 따들 기빨 예리드 전에도 하도게 난조 공부 시발은 제때
Okay, so I'm just gonna. So for those of you who are following along with the text, we are on page 15. We are in the third paragraph of page 15, and I will read you out the sentence just as Geshe read it. This is achieved through constant and respectful familiarity with the yoga of calm abiding meditation and special insight over a long period of time.
그래서
그래서,
다티미면 치 둔두마도 요아마르 둔에 된다 치모지 요아르다스 거죠.
So this is just one very short sentence, but the meanings that are embedded within this sentence are extremely profound.
디또한테 깨자 가르치야 살았잖아. 난 간도 이제 먼저 소지 공부 좀 발에 대도세제 거고 누아스.
Dundam,
대도세제.
semche. So what this is saying is that in order for us to be able to reach the state of enlightenment, we need to give a rise to Dundam Jangchugi Sem Dundam.
야토 가레스.
Ultimate bodhicitta. Semche laoswan Dundam Jangchugi Sem Dundam semche dunchi greve. Nadigo tonswan.
미메 대도세제 대도 비숑 주세요.
Right.
세제 니요로.
Yes, Hakosung. So we need to realize ultimate bodhicitta.
된 저바세리 대도세제.
Yes.
대도 비숑 주세요. 된 저발라 또아들 기빠 예리드.
So this short sentence is saying what we need to do actually in order to realize that ultimate bodhicitta. And what it is saying is that we need constant and respectful familiarity with the yoga of calm abiding meditation and special insight.
단 다대대 담아가. 또아들 기빠 세토노를 젠진이 되고요. 젠진이.
So what's not immediately apparent is that the word, here it's translated as constant, and the word respectful are actually speaking of two types of joyous effort.
또아들 따져게 젠지.
So constant refers to takjor. So takjor is a type of effort which can be translated as continuous application effort or constant application effort.
기빠를 세야티 기적이 젠지.
And the word respectful is talking about the second type of joyous effort, guchor, and this can be translated as intense application effort or devoted application effort.
따져게 젠지세는 레지다사소이. 젠지 체이전노지.
So continuous or constant application effort, this is just as it sounds. It's a continuous kind of stream. It's like a stream that is continuously flowing, unwavering, unbreaking. Intense or devoted application is an effort which is based in a mind gupasana sorayopara. That because of respect has a liking towards that effort. It's a liking or a respectful application of effort. If these two types of effort are in place, when one engages in calm abiding and special insight meditation, then it is possible to realize ultimate bodhicitta. That is the meaning here. Tombani Migpe Shine.
Solo Chembo.
Right. So during the great path of accumulation, the first of the 5 paths, the bodhisattva is engaged in so adit lagore konso sumden so yore. I think I need apparently it's my job to unpack that. See, it would be a bit rude to assume that. So anyways, on this path of accumulation, there are 3 increments: small, middling, and great. During the great increment of the path of accumulation, the bodhisattva is engaged in calm abiding meditation with emptiness as its object of reference, emptiness as the meditation's object of focus. Konso mikyu di tompani re donda. Shine de pekapla. Yeah. Konso yul tompani re roa drebu shine re roa. Gomyul tompani res roa de la tene shine drugi res roa. Right. So at that point, actually, they have achieved a measure of calm abiding based upon their capacity to focus on emptiness as their meditative object. Loso. When they reach the path of preparation, konso datong shine yores, ine konso gomyuldi, gomjadi, laktong segires. Right. But the mind that is holding emptiness as its object is no longer just the mind of calm abiding. It is the mind of both calm abiding and special insight. Shine laktong nyamdu yongres. Laktong seria di lores gomyul mares. Shirap, right? And so I was just saying to Geshe, maybe we unpack what we mean by special insight, because it doesn't mean emptiness itself, right? This is a misconception. The special insight is the wisdom that engages with emptiness. Tompani nyarya gishera. Yeah. So it's the wisdom that realizes that emptiness. That's what we mean when we say special insight. And it is laktong, or special insight, is a supreme type of wisdom. Some of you might be familiar with the Sanskrit word vipaśyanā, right? So special insight is vipaśyanā. So we can look at it this way. Calm abiding is the supreme aspect of samadhi or concentration. Special insight or vipaśyanā, laktong, is the supreme aspect of prajna or wisdom. This means that it is a wisdom that can hold on to emptiness in particular. Yeah. Otherwise, if we speak about, in the absence of emptiness, we speak about various types of calm abiding and special insight, right? Śamatha and vipaśyanā. Even non-Buddhist traditions have their own interpretations of śamatha and vipaśyanā. So if we have this combination of calm abiding and special insight, śamatha and vipaśyanā, then this will inevitably lead to that realization of ultimate bodhicitta. Yeah. So now is the quote from the sutra confirming the statement. So the sutra that's mentioned here, Unraveling the True Intention Arya Sutra, this is available on 84,000, by the way, if you want to see the sutra itself. This is Tamadiro. This is a sutra from the 3rd or final turning of the wheel. And this 3rd turning of the wheel, when we look at it from the aspect of Buddhist philosophy, those sutras are said to be more kind of confirming the Chittamantran or mind-only school of philosophy. Yeah. So we can see that the quote begins with "O Maitreya." This shows us actually that Maitreya had previously asked a question, and now the Buddha is answering it. Yes.
게이 진지대바도 지대len디바 통제 좀 신에도 하도겐 지버연 바리바 샤고 시수마 타보고.
So, O Maitreya, you must know that all the virtuous dharmas of hearers, bodhisattvas, or tathagatas, whether worldly or transcendental, are the fruits of calm abiding meditation and special insight. Since all kinds of concentration can be included in these two, all yogis must at all times seek calm abiding meditation and special insight.
다때 니네지는 가이는 로차가마 이나이들은 대녀라시는 개전녀라시야 청소. 개전녀야 말이자. 마마마티나.
Kadu.
디생가말.
Ale, right. So Geshe said that we had a little bit of a debate, Geshe and myself, about where did we leave off when we finished like the first installment of stages of meditation. I thought it was before this quote. Geshe thought it was after this quote. But anyways, maybe a nice refresher to have the quote anyway.
단디 치트는라. 치트 야고다.
Loso.
숑바 공용 니티노 지금 사티 자로로 루자데고야레스.
So another thing to understand here is that it says, O Maitreya, you must know all the virtuous dharmas of hearers. And we should understand that along with hearers, although not specifically mentioned, are also the pratyeka Buddhas, the solitary realizers.
니티가 되어봐, 루자가 되어봐, 조지 셈비 되어봐, 더니 송지.
Because we need to have, for this statement to have full import, all kind of vehicles there. The vehicles of hearers, Shravakas, the vehicles of solitary realizers, and also the vehicles of bodhisattvas.
다 던지고 뒤니까가 지대비게와 지대렌디비게와 가리이나요. 신에도 하도겐 주르레 스르스미도와스.
At that time, any sort of, and here it's translated as fruits, but actually it's not drebu in the Tibetan, it's gewa, so it would be any virtues that come about. Those come about only through calm abiding and special insight.
다 텔스 로토니야레스. 케파리치게서는 타가로레스.
So, in terms of how to interpret that statement, there are different schools of thought. One school of thought, the scholars say that can be taken literally, right? Any virtuous thing, any fruit is arising from calm abiding and special insight. Just take it as is.
케파리치게서는 니티도 루자 손지 셈발 로이나. 이니 메지 신에도 라토 신에토가 마레스.
Other scholars dispute that. They say, actually, if you think about the fruits as being these states of achieving a Shravaka here, state, Pratyeka Buddha, solitary realized state, Bodhisattva, and so forth, gonda nyente rangye jangchu senpa
로토발라.
right, as achieving the paths of the hearers, solitary realizers, or bodhisattvas. To achieve those fruits, you actually don't need to have realized calm abiding and special insight. Yeah. So that scholarly interpretation that calm abiding and special insight are not required to achieve the path of those states should be comforting if you're someone who has problems concentrating, right? Yeah, so one of Geshe's friends said, like, I really don't, I'd find it easy to concentrate. So this view that calm abiding is not necessary to realize bodhicitta, that's the view I'm going to go with, right? Because that's more encouraging. But Lama Jetsunpa, so Jetsunpa is the one who composes most of the textbooks for Serajé Monastery, where Geshe is from. He says that you do need calm abiding in order to realize bodhicitta. Yeah. So one scholar kind of glosses this as saying that in order to achieve these fruits of the virtuous dharmas of hearers, bodhisattvas, or tathagatas, those fruits, it is not necessary to realize calm abiding, but one must have brought forth some measure of concentration similar to calm abiding. So there's a caveat in that interpretation. So now going to the next sentence, since all kinds of concentration can be included in these two, all yogis must seek at all times calm abiding meditation and special insight.
다들이 다도 도체 디비사도 이사게 제가 말다 조 코로니로 왔어. 전에도 나도 이면서 야주.
So those are not the only things that they need, but those are like the main things that they need. You can also interpret it that way.
용 콘테레 바바 금방에만 저와 되니래. 저된데지 저게데 니니 되노도 손주 도송아. 손주 삼바노도 대제자바노지 띵엔저 nom바타마 땡바 공다 연바 대도 통지 신에도 하도게 디바 리바샤고 시스바 따보고.
So we're going to continue. We're now on page 16 in the English text. Again, the Unraveling the True Intention Arya Sutra says, the Buddha said, I declare that it should be known that the teachings of various types of concentrations sought by hearers, bodhisattvas and tathagatas are all contained in calm abiding and special insight.
강가 신에도 나도 이비께자 말해. 거기서지 디바. 콜.
Kor. So
So
Geshe said, you don't understand this. That means that all of those practices and teachings are actually calm abiding and special insight, but you should understand that they are like the retinues of calm abiding and special insight. In other words, enhancing things that help us achieve them. Yeah. So you can understand it is on the basis of these other concordant practices, this enhances, makes one able to achieve calm abiding and special insight. Yeah. So it's just like if you think about the king or the prime minister or the president, he or she, in order to accomplish their function, they need a lot of ministers and staff, and so those are all of the other practices that enhance calm abiding and special insight.
Reshi nyamumba nomba nemba zonda sede shiraja noa shunga mepar balanya lepar cho masibi shir balanya lepa chomba manjiro.
So, continuing. Yogis cannot eliminate mental obscurations merely by familiarizing themselves with calm abiding meditation alone. It will only suppress the disturbing emotions temporarily. Without the light of wisdom, the latent potential of the disturbing emotions cannot be thoroughly destroyed, and therefore their complete destruction will not be possible.
Ota shini kaze pita po shini chipola ozujana dedeba yene ta tingenzu halebi shuto po chiretene inayo nyemo tino yo botoya yo amares.
So if we just exclusively devote ourselves to calm abiding, right? There's no question that calm abiding is a very heightened a very lucid aspect of samadhi, of single-pointed concentration, but that sort of refined state of single-pointed concentration alone will not allow us to defeat the afflictions.
Nganzu mena mchidu jani jani soso dasigros. Jani jani wolma ne tsasona.
Yeah.
Wolma.
Yeah.
Shini tiga tenda wo ne toyo ares nika chila.
Yeah. Right. So if you give some sort of embodiment to the afflictions, and you think like they're a person that is violent in a bit of a boxing match with, right? And you can think that you get in sort of one punch and the person falls to the floor. Calm abiding can do that, right? It can disable the affliction, make it fall to the floor, but the affliction is still going to be able to stand up again. It doesn't really get rid of the problem. So calm abiding has that sort of temporary benefit of kind of being able to disable the opponent of the afflictions, but it is not able to defeat the opponent completely. This is important to understand. Yeah. It's a little bit like the current state of our world, right? We're in a time where people think that, being able to overcome somebody militarily or to defeat a few enemies on the battlefield is some sort of solution to things. But we understand, right, that that's just a temporary solution. That's just winning the battle. The war continues to rage on. It's a little bit like that. We can definitely say that through war and conflict, humanity has thousands of years of experience with these things, and not one single one of those wars or conflicts has been a perfect solution to a problem has gotten rid of the problems completely.
다 델리 노고 녀모비 다티지 터소나 다 대노지 요 말레스 코치 메바자 사소나 대네지티 콜 나로야 만디와스.
But if we are able to, through wisdom, defeat the root of the afflictions completely, this is a lasting solution. The enemy is completely defeated to the point that it cannot rise up again.
대이자 시라도 녀도 요나 시네데.
Yeah.
드니 발라냐 세리 바차 시저.
Right. So together with Bhakchakra.
발라냐 세 바차 고.
Bhakchakra.
시저 세 고그레.
So this is saying that with wisdom, without wisdom, the latent potential of the disturbing emotions cannot be thoroughly destroyed. So Geshe is just explaining that latent potential,
바차
balanya.
발라냐 두와스 발라냐.
So it's a very unusual word, balanya, which is translated here as latent potential, but in fact Geshe is saying this is synonymous with bakchak, which you think of as an imprint. So without wisdom, right, the imprints of those afflictions cannot be cleared away.
다 델레 다 시라 메 발라니 시네 지복 디노요 메바서 더 말다.
Yeah. So we can't clear away those latencies, those imprints without wisdom. Calm abiding cannot accomplish that alone.
콘데레 다요.
Loso.
대이나 파파 구망 네반데와 대니레 소대치는 녀모바 넘바 녀모바 넘바 네도 당길라바 노지. 시라치는 발라냐 레반 조바 셰도 오시 까자도.
So here Kamalaśīla gives another kung, another scriptural citation to support his view. For this reason, the Unraveling the True Intention Arya Sutra says, concentration can suppress the disturbing emotions properly, and the wisdom can thoroughly destroy their latent potential. So Geshe said that he would like to pause our commentary here, so we are midway down page 16, and we will pick up where we left off next time. Yeah. Tonglam Tambo, Chilo Pitugire Jati. So when we reach the path of seeing, in terms of the objects of abandonment, it is like you have kicked the thief out of your house, but you have not yet been able to close the door. So I see a couple of yellow hands. Please write your question down. We'll come to Q&A at the end of the session, so we will get to you. Just make a note of your question. Right. And then, so we have kicked the thief out of our house, and then once we have realized true cessations, once true cessations have been realized, then the door is closed and the afflictions, which are personified as the thief, are not able to enter our home again. And it's at that time of realizing true cessations that we come to possess the actual Dharma jewel. So then, having covered that, then Geshe would like to turn back to the text of the 21 taras. Sorry, got all the papers mixed up again. Lakpala yorini inji gogire duas. Yeah, inji mangchewa kawadras hamako. Sorry, just give me a moment. Here we go. Okay, yes. So we are on the first of the praises of Tara, which are on page 6 in Lama Zopa Rinpoche's translation. So this prayer is called the praise to the 21 Taras, or the homage to the 21 Taras, Töpa. And so Mingdi. And so the name, the 21 homages to Tara, can be understood in two different ways according to commentators. As the Jeja, the subject itself, or as the Jeche, the expressor or the means of expression. Yeah. And so 21 refers to the 21 verses. The 21 verses are the expressors, the agents of expression, the expressors. Chuck, the subject is the homage itself, chaksayadang, and the praise. So the prostration and the praise. That's the subject. So the subject is the praises and prostrations to Tara, and the expressor or means of expression is these 21 verses. So when we speak about these enlightened beings like Tara and Avalokiteshvara, there's sort of two ways to think about them. So in the case of Tara, one way is we think of Yeshe, wisdom moon, right? The noble lady who achieved the state of enlightenment as Tara. Yeah. So in terms of wisdom moon, she was the daughter of a king in Tibetan. His name is Ngadra, many eons ago. And so Princess Yeshe, she was able to cultivate, bring forth bodhicitta, and realize complete enlightenment. And so Geshe said this was many eons ago, but maybe you can relate it to even just, a few decades ago, or certainly a few generations ago. It was at a time where there was a real sort of prejudice against women, right? And where women were not held to be equal to men. And so Yeshe was kind of dealing with that prejudice. And so several spiritual masters advised Yeshe before her enlightenment, as she was cultivating. Actually, you're putting a lot of effort in... Oh, sorry. Not spiritual masters, spiritual friends. I apologize. So the spirit... So, my bad. So several spiritual friends approached Yeshe and said to her, you're cultivating, you're accumulating all of these merits, but it's not really possible to achieve enlightenment as a woman. So the best thing for you to do is just pray to be reborn as a man as quickly as possible, and that's how you should practice. She said, so Yeshe replied, she said, I'm not going to make that prayer because it's not logical. If you just look around the world right now, most of the people who are caring for and benefiting others are women, not men. So I'm not going to make that prayer. Right. So there was, at this time, it wasn't Buddha Shakyamuni, right? Because there's many eons before. It was another of the Buddhas of this fortunate aeon who was the presiding Buddha at this time. And so she prayed to this Tathagata. I'm sorry, in Tibetan it's Ngadra, but I'll try to look up the Sanskrit for you. So she prayed to this Tathagata, to the Buddha of that fortunate aeon, that I am going to be
부모로게 때라.
Yeah.
또 손지 생체 요조 손지 고마마도 받아 니가게 되시 다두게 되시 강가 저기.
I am going to achieve enlightenment as a woman and appear as a woman for every lifetime as long as sentient beings remain in samsara to help them fulfill all of their temporary and ultimate aims. So this was the promise Yeshidawa made to the Tathagata, to the Buddha.
어다 던지지 있다 다 안쪽에 니가게 되시 다두게 되시 가는 인에 부스만 내봐 요 콜 쏟아서나 어단 저거 요바디스 고또 아시 원디 와스.
So this is why, it's because of this particular promise that Yeshidawa made before she became Tara. This is why we can rely on Tara, not just for ultimate aims of our spiritual practice, but also help with temporary matters. We can rely on Tara for both ultimate and temporary help.
어다 던질을 따와 이나요도 보도 보면 요하면 봐. 이네 할래하게 돼서 다다 이나요 배도 자치 모래도 와스.
So, this story, which is in the scriptures, is something that's really helpful to keep in mind, especially when we consider the equal capacity of men and women and why women should not be looked down upon.
대지래. 소가 그 같이 뭐냐게 야지라. 소한디 비자지도 당하고는 토쇼들 와스.
Yep, yep.
하고서
yeah.
윤노는 세지 리지라 송지기 어다 보도 보면 니가 요바도 고시오지야래.
So Geshe wants to share that with you and also for other women who are cultivating the Dharma. It's also very useful to know that in the Guhya Samaja Tsagyu, so the Guhya Samaja root Tantra, it says very explicitly that both women and men, through the instructions of highest Yoga Tantra, can achieve full enlightenment in one body in one lifetime.
어다 대지 미미미하고 그거 다도돼 있었더니 같이 모여 버린데 와스.
So the Guhya Samaja Tantra is considered the definitive Tantra, and so what is contained there carries great weight.
어다 좀 종선 가시세요. 누가 되어 버린데 부모를 한디.
Again.
누가 버린데.
Yeah.
가시 부모를 한디.
Yeah, so Geshe said that also, some people have said to him that they like Buddhism in part because the holy beings that we pray to, there's many female figures there, right? So there's also many female sort of aspects of enlightenment. Yeah, so that's also a nice thing to think about.
오야 다 엄지에마 범마도마라 샹차로 스탄덴 도대고 거니 단 샤차와 데레스.
Karig
도대바 디디기도 도대바.
Dotempasana?
디디기도.
Right. So on page 6, the first line reads, Om homage to the perfect pure Arya Tara. So that's also translated as Om, I prostrate to the noble transcendent liberator. That's Lama Zopa Rinpoche's translation in the italics there. So Geshe is saying that this is the brief praise, the brief homage.
그래서 엄세나다 다 지저 좀이가 그 수트서도 거기 두는 이게 써요레스.
So Om is actually Om, A-U-M, and so it's a combination syllable of 3 letters, and this can be said to represent the holy body, holy speech, and holy mind of Venerable Tara.
제사나 제세리 야보.
Yeah.
아까 강에서야 대화대야 야본다고.
J means lord or like king, a lord or king of a clearing away difficulties and bringing benefit. So when we talk about great compassion, actually the Tibetan word is ning je. There's also this word je, lord. It's spelt the same way, rajata jadembo je. Rajata jadembo je. So that is also, the word lord is part of the word for compassion, right? Which is like mahakaruna, right? So it shows how beneficial compassion is. So we offer prostration and praise. Who do we offer praise or homage to? To Arya Tara. So why do we offer prostration to Tara? Because she is Jetsun Pagma Droma. She is perfect, pure Arya.
This one?
Yeah.
Tsun
Sana?
Right.
Right. So tsun is a word which, like in English, actually we would translate this as venerable. Tsunpa and Tsunma are venerable monks and nuns. So Tsun means migewa meparwa.
야 링어 여서 뭐게 자와 공연 주제 좀 많이 봐.
So Tsun indicates one whose body, speech, and mind are completely separated from non-virtue, from what is unwholesome.
저와 가시는 돈바서도 돈바서 들고 와요.
Others say that Tsun indicates one who is endowed with the three vows of praktimoksha, individual liberation, bodhisattva, and tantra.
마서는 다 디스 저와 관계가 만다고 되자.
Ma indicates the mother of the Buddhas of the three times is one way to understand.
그래서 파마서는 아니 거 선제 요조 거와 동에서 그 동안을 줘야겠다. 로하시게 돼 있자. 말해 파마서는
Pamasena pagpa. Pagpa.
야 소소 시월에 파피나.
Right.
소소 시에서래 파피 또 원인에서도 또 와이자
Right.
파마.
So Pagma means Arya, and so Arya Toningosu Topade means that she has had the direct realization of emptiness. She has realized the Arya state.
다 로마에서 다 틀렸잖아요. 와. 틀려 가르도 담바서에서 소나 디스 다 말해 선제 요조 로아를 주고 선제 요조 고아동에서 그 동안을 좋아하셔 봐이자 로마.
Drolma, the liberator, means liberator from what? Able to liberate all 6 types of sentient beings from the fear of the 3 lower realms in particular and samsara in general. Dishana?
어다 던지게 예때 벌써 줘봐도 유아이자. 어다 던지 저 고스키 비고니 샤차위스.
Noble Tara possesses these unfathomable qualities, and this is the reason we offer prostration or homage to her.
어다 자이 간진도라 디스 로마니 지기 때바디 유아다 데스다시 뭐라스.
So this is the sort of the mouth, the beginning part of the praises to Tara. So we completed the very first line, the very brief condensed praise to Tara at the beginning of this prayer of the 21, and we'll begin with the first shloka next time. So thank you very much. Let us lifting our hearts in joy and rejoice in the merit. So after the dedication, if you need to go and get on with your day, please feel free. But if you'd like to stay for question and answer, you are most welcome. Changju semjo rinpoche maje panam chejur che chewa nyamba meba yang gone gondo bewar sho tongni tawa rinpoche maje panam chejur che chewa nyamba meba yang gone gondo bewar sho Jambe bao jidar kyamba dan kundu zambo deyan dejen de da kungi jesu dalo chir gewa de da tangje rabdu ngo dusu shepe gyawa tangje ge ngowa gangla chodu ngaba de dagi gewe tsawa digun kyang zambo joji rabdu ngowa ge kangri rawe kowe shinkam je pendan dewa malu chungwe ne chenre ziwan tenzin jatso yi shabe zide badu tenjo chi. So we'll pause there. So if you have questions, I did see 1 or 2 yellow hands, so please feel free to put your question out there. I thought I saw a hand. Okay, now I see them. So Loan, I think you were first and then B. So we'll begin with Loan. Go ahead, Loan.
Thank you.
Am I pronouncing your name correctly, by the way?
Yes.
Is it Loan?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes. Thank you, Ketrula. Tashidele, Geshila, and Ketrula. I have a question. Please, I don't know how to recognize the dualistic appearance of the subject and object during meditation. Could Geshe help me understand that part?
Yeah, tene triwa di ninang gi kola re duas yul chen tade gi nangwa di kandes ngo singores. Di kandes ngo singores.
얘도 이제 다대가 놓아서 빼나 단단 가서 세점발을 빼리려고. 세점바 얘는 얘도 이제 님보대.
Yeah.
너무 쉽바지 고바자 세발라되네.
Yeah.
주로 이 놓아샤와를 봐도.
Right.
아니 로스요 말에 슬라기요레스.
Right. So then, well, the easiest way to kind of answer this is first to reference the Chittamantran, or the mind-only school of Buddhist philosophy. And there we would say that, that the Chittamantrans would say that any appearance that manifests only manifests as the result of an imprint ripening within the mind. So, Bachak de la Tene, Yulgi Nangwa Yores Hakona de Ninang Medroge.
얘도 이제 다대가 놓아도 갈래갈래 이노기요라와.
So on the basis of cultivating this mind-only understanding, if we can have the experience of the appearance of the object as being non-separate from the ripening of the imprint within the mind, this clears away the dualistic appearance of object and object possessor. So object and object possessor is just a fancy way of saying subject and object, really.
그래서 아니 좌바시에서 여도 코너시에서 예 강가 실로 거 노로 바자지려 마도 실로 코러스 매바지고 어타지노요라와.
And this is a really helpful view, because what it says to us is that object giving rise to our attachment, that object giving rise to our anger, it has this appearance of being something outside ourselves. But that appearance is only manifesting because of an imprint that is ripening within our own mind. So it can be very helpful in that respect.
다 됐어 좀 비켜자. 다 아마 빨리 이는 안조 빼나 매도 질렀다가 이나. 아니 매도 질렀다 그래 얘도 이제 님보든 내가 매반다고 지금 안조 놓아려 하래.
So middle way, or Madhyamika, explains this a little bit differently. So here let us take the example of the flowers that are sitting in front of Geshe. Sorry, Yuldang Yuchen Mindrawa Dapores. Right. So it appears that the person gazing at the flowers, the subject, and the object of the flowers themselves, the object possessor, right, are something separate. It appears that they are separate in nature.
이나요 얘도 이제 다대 말해서요. 다대래. 이나요 뭐 다대 얘네는 뭐 다대 말해.
So, and the language here becomes more precise, right? We say that the object and object possessor are separate, but they are not of distinct or separate natures. They are separate, but they are not of ngo. They are not of distinct or separate natures. Yeah. And so basically what's being said here is the subject and the object are not unrelated separate things. They arise in relationship to each other. Right. Ngo tade hakona de ninang medrogeres, roa. Ngotade mena hakona ninang medrogeres. Right. So then, from the Madhyamika perspective, seeing that they are of the same essence, although separate entities of the same essence, the subject and the object, this clears away one aspect of that dualistic appearance. Yeah, umapadiro. So the Madhyamika understanding is more difficult to apply here, right? The Chittamantran understanding is easier. Sorry, Loan, did you want to say something else?
I said, say thank you. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Yeah. So if we see, the secret here is to see the subject and the object as being in a relationship with each other. Then we can understand that they are of the same essence, even if they have different aspects, and that can help us clear away that level of dualistic appearance. Yeah.
세계 속에 봐 하고 있고요.
So what this helps us to understand is things that are appearing to us, right? They all have relationships with our mind, right? They're not completely external, arising completely independently of our mind. That's the benefit here. Yeah. So thank you, Luan. I think that was a good question, actually. So we'll leave it here, but so we'll go to B next. But if you have a follow-up, feel free later. B, go ahead.
Hi, Geshe. Actually, my question is also on non-duality, and I probably have asked this before, but either I forgot the answer or the answer didn't click with me, so I'm asking again.
Okay, yeah, no worries.
So first of all, may I clarify, in our system, the Gelug system, when we say something is non-dual in terms of subject-object non-dual, we are really saying that the subject and object have a relationship, not that the subject and object are not separate entity.
Not that they are not. Okay, sorry. I want to go back up because I want to be very precise here and make sure I understood you correctly. So I'm just going to say the question back to you. Is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah, so you're asking that if in the Gelug view, when we speak of the non-duality of subject and object, this means that they have a relationship, not that they are not separate entities. In other words, they are separate entities that have a relationship. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I got you.
I should have just put it that way. It's simpler.
But does that go to the gist of what you wanted to ask, though?
Yes.
I don't want.
Yes.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
Good. Yeah, okay.
That's the first part.
That's the first part. Okay, well, let's do that first, and then don't worry, I'll come back to you right away. So let's get part A done, and we'll circle around for part B, okay?
Okay.
Yeah. Dene triwa tambo diris roa Gelug gi tawa nanglola nganso ninangs labdu yuldang yulchen ninangs labdu di sena yuldang yulchen mindrawa maris segio maris konso drewa yores segires di koe datares.
Yeah.
So that is correct, B. That's correct.
Okay.
Because when we see an absence of the relationship between the subject and object, what happens is we don't see them as being of one essence, right? So they're one essence but separate entities. But if we fall into that extreme, that we don't see them as one essence.
Okay. So in that understanding of non-duality, in a sense, there is no difference between if the mind is directly realizing emptiness or directly realizing pot. Because in both situations, the subject and object are separate, but they have a relationship.
Right. Di samlo tangna rwa dene tongni tokpegi semdi dang bumpe tokpegi semdi rwa kepar yomares rwa karinsana bumpa dang tompani rwa ngochi yeah mare di lamasong kodegarang lasong. Can you say that again, B?
Okay, so
Geshe is trying to take it into the direction that if you realize the emptiness of the pot, you realize the pot. But I don't think that's what you want to know. Maybe I'm mistaken.
Actually, I'm getting there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just try to confirm a few understanding one step at a time. So given the understanding of non-duality of subject and object that we just explained, it would not make a difference if the object of the mind is emptiness or the pot.
Right.
Emptiness of the pot or the pot, because they are still two separate things, but have a relationship.
One essence, have a relationship. Yes, I got you.
Is that correct?
Yes. Dene nganso yudang yulchen tami depe nangwa samlo tangna. Dene nganso sem bumpa togna. Sem tompani tobna. Semgi tompani tobna kepar
yomares. Karinsena bumpa dang bumpa gi tompani ngochikres.
Mare pambato pambag tumani ngochi inayo.
Yep.
Chi rapare chi tawarawas.
Okay.
Pambato garani pambi tumani tu gayo mares.
So Geshe said that although they are of one essence, you can't say that if you realize the pot, you necessarily realize its emptiness, because the pot is a coarser object of knowledge, whereas emptiness is much more subtle. So it does not follow that if you realize the pot, you realize its emptiness.
I wasn't making that assumption.
So for example, those flowers and the impermanence of those flowers, right? We can make the same argument here, that if you realize the flowers, that doesn't mean that you realize the impermanence of the flowers, because the impermanence is a more subtle object.
Yes, I wasn't making that case. Now comes the question. The question is, why is it then in the direct realization of emptiness, non-duality is being emphasized so much? And we can particularly see this when we talk about the omniscient mind, seeing reality, and the omniscient mind seeing the variety. So the omniscient mind seeing the reality is non-dual, and the omniscient mind seeing the variety is dual. And this
Yes, can I unpack this just in terms of your language, B? Just to make sure, because I'm immediately going with, you're saying that the omniscient mind seeing reality, meaning
Emptiness.
ultimate truth, right?
Yes,
Is
yes.
non-dual, whereas the mind seeing variety, meaning relative truths, right? The reality of phenomena is
Conventionality.
dual. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I know that is the case. That's what the text says.
Yeah.
So I'm just asking why there is such an emphasis on the omniscient mind seeing the ultimate truth to be non-dual, whereas the dynamic between the two are the same as we explained.
Right.
And that's the first part of that's the first part of the question. The second part of the question is that
No, don't do the second part yet. We haven't gotten the first part yet, B. Your questions are sophisticated, so I have to go step by step. Sorry. Is it okay to do this part first?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. Ko triwa dire rwa. Nganso kandisla gore di tompani ko la samlo tangna dundam dempa rwa. Dene nganso di ninang halepe sa champo droge yores. Ine nganso di dundam dempa rwa kandisla gore ninang me droge res. Di kare chene tsores. Kare insena nganso di kunzob dempa yang tongire duas. Ane kunzob dempa dene netso mindrao dabo chik tongire.
Me. Kzo demba do tari nino te yoso na. Tomani le ngine se tempo te pitabo roto yo mares.
Because relative truth has this aspect of duality to it, this is why it makes the mind that is experiencing relative truth difficult to focus also on emptiness.
Pena me do te tomani ina. Tingo ko tondo tongo yo was. Ina yo ko yenda jika de standa. Baje ji yares. No adi yo na.
So if there is a dualistic appearance, if we take these flowers as being emptiness, as just like a physical representation of emptiness, that dualistic appearance means that there's like a veil in front of us so that we cannot see those flowers clearly.
Hakosara. Ota nino no to suna. Ta pet to pet no kanga so much on yares.
If we are able to clear away dualistic appearance, we can clear away any appearance that is the veil preventing us from directly realizing that emptiness.
Gochi zu to suna.
Yeah.
Ta teni zu te sil ko zu no ale na yo teni onya da yo mare.
If we can do that. And so that's why emptiness and the setting, remember like sun setting of dualistic appearance is emphasized here, because once that veil is cleared away, di goya di mesong na dene? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because once that veil is removed, even if relative appearances are
coming to the mind, it's not going to cause that confusion, right? The veil, which is the basis of that confusion, was cleared away.
Well, that is the case of sentient beings.
Yeah.
In a Buddha's mind, yes, I'm just reminded that.
Well, a Buddha is seeing the two truths together all the time, right?
Well, that's not quite true.
No?
I'm being bold making that statement.
Then it,
That is not.
you've never heard that before, B? I don't believe you've never heard that before.
I heard that all the time. But then when it comes down to it, they will say, I forgot the exact expression. The Buddha's mind seeing the reality, and the Buddha's mind seeing the variety. And then they say, not only that, this is in illuminating the intent. There is a section where either Śāntarakṣita or Lama Tsongkhapa explain the Buddha's mind viewing the reality, view emptiness by the pot not appearing.
Gongjel kapla ruwa dene Lama Tsongkhapa yana dawa drapa yana dene koronso sangye di ruwa dempani nyamdu tongya yomare sangye bumpa tukla ma sharya la tene tompani sigires segidwa. Yes, no, Geshe thinks that's incorrect. Geshe said that in and he can cite many sources for this. In scripture after scripture, it says that a Buddha sees ultimate and relative truth together of one object as clearly as that pot of flowers in front of Geshe, as clear as he can see that object right in front of his eyes. So for a Buddha, relative appearance is happening all the time, and it doesn't have a problem because he's perceiving that, is perceiving that together with the emptiness.
So the Buddha's mind viewing the emptiness, ultimate truth, can also have appearance of the pot.
Tompani siagi tukdi yang bumpa tong tubgires. Sangye.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to find the section in the text. I'm going to email it to you.
Yes. No, it's better if you email me, and then Geshe can look up things that support this view. Yeah. 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 Sorry, so Geshe says there he understands why you're reading that passage that way. He wants to unpack the language for you. So he's asking you to email me, B, and then I'll unpack the language for you.
Okay. Actually, I like Geshe last answer.
Yeah, but he said he's gonna give you it's a Zeke nor it's a whole thing, so I just can't do it like off the cuff. So Geshe will find me the passage and I'll send it to you. So just email me and remind me, B.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much.
No problem. Yep. Yes. Right. Yeah. So Geshe is saying another important thing here just with the language is when we speak about the pot and the pot's emptiness, they are not one. We can't say they are one because they're not the same, but we can say they are of the same essence, right? So it's like the same essence, different aspects. Ngo, chik, nampa, tade. This is very important. Yeah. Because if you say they're exactly the same, you run into another problem, which is that whenever you see the flowers, you also see their emptiness together. And that's not the experience for us as ordinary beings. So you'll find actually a debate of some of these points that be raised in the Pramanavartika, in the treatise on valid cognition.
하고서 뭐지도 지세야 되니 제바치 모르겠어.
Yes. So what's the difference between saying things are one and saying things are of one essence? And why is that difference important? So
Yes,
thanks, B. Just send me an email, just like ping me to remind me, and I'll go over it with Geshe soon.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I think, Greg, you've had your hand up for a while. Greg, go ahead.
Hi, yeah, I have two questions as well, but I think they're disappointingly simple compared to what the discussion we just had. So,
Oh no, that's okay. Like it's nice for me actually. Petrov gets an easy question after a difficult one. That's
okay,
good.
well,
I like it.
The really easy question is so there's a lot of discussion about the three methods of dissolving dualistic appearance was mentioned. I'm just wondering if there was a text reference that I missed where I can refer to that.
The three aspects of dissolving dualistic appearance. You want a text for this, right?
I'm just wondering if there's a reference in the texts that we've been looking at.
The three types of dualistic appearance.
Yeah.
Ninangi riksum dang ninangi riksum nupya gitap korla junkawa lotugiresa.
예, 다주 뭐는 요절에 되네. 만구마라산노 도트네 다트들다나.
So clarifying the intent by Lama Tsongkhapa will be helpful here.
구마라산노 다 저와지는 때에서 야가 나와.
Okay.
So Geshe is saying clarifying the intent, but specifically if you look at the commentaries by figures from various monasteries like Seraje and Serame on that text, it's explained in a much more approachable way. Unfortunately, I think that while clarifying the intent is available in English, these other commentaries Geshe is talking about are not.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. But anyways, if you need suggestions again, Greg, you can just email me and I can see what's available in English because I can't remember off the top of my head, although clarifying the intent is available in English, I think.
Okay, thank you very much. And my second question, just very quickly, we were talking about the special insight meditation and calm abiding. I'm wondering, I'm not sure if I caught this correctly. It sounded like he was saying that it's possible to practice insight meditation without having achieved calm abiding. And I'm just wondering, is that possible, or is it necessary to achieve at least some measure of calm abiding before, to clear the ground so that you're able to engage in insight meditation?
Tene ko chua nipa dires nganso shine lockdown kola chik labswa tene ko koya data redamares dopa chik lepswa nganso lockdown gom jaya inji minji shine gogyo mares di lockdown gomela inji minji shine goyo mares labna shine rang yo mares ine tinge zingi rik chik gogires labna halam digire
말에 다된 라톤인디스. 배는 안도 라톤 고자세나.
Yeah.
제고 셰비가 라톤 쇼로 저돈도 요레스.
Right. Loso.
라톤이네 도발라 이니면 진행할 토카레스.
So actually this is a good question because there's two sort of contexts of the word special insight or vipaśyanā. So one is a kind of special insight that is practiced as an analytical meditation. This kind chegom gi laktongdi gogyo marerwa.
Yeah, that me te latung inedo marawas.
Yeah. We say special insight, but it's not actually special insight. It's an analytical meditation in the vein of special insight. For this one, calm abiding is not required. However, for an actually fully qualified special insight, calm abiding is required.
아고서 어다 텔레시네 이니면 이게 다 띵엔서 쇼쇼오지요나 다 템보디오는 가서 이는 야가로 왔어.
Yeah.
뒤에 돌았더니 라토가 제바시나.
Kebachiana. Los.
세테스 템보요 바체.
Yeah.
뒤에 돌을 라토가 제바시나.
Lactong double chigures. Then they shine ngene do lactong ngene dirwa.
말. 신행에는 드니저는 라통이네 토카레스.
Right, shine drupe dirwa. So Geshe said though that doesn't mean we can't practice special insight, right? In fact, we should. We develop as much concentration as we can and we contemplate special insight. But that special insight or vipaśyanā will not be fully qualified until we have achieved calm abiding. So we work on achieving calm abiding and then once that is achieved, the laktong, the fully qualified special insight meditation happens.
인지 meaning을 더 가르치네.
Yeah. So for a fully qualified special insight, yes, you do need to have calm abiding. Yeah.
Okay, that actually makes sense. That's helpful. Thank you very much.
Yeah. TJ no problem. No
전에
problem.
오가 다 컨트 좋아요는 더 좋아도 마찬가 개념 보지.
So any other questions Geshe would like to say? He just wants to make a closing comment, but other questions first. Dave, go ahead. Yeah.
Yes, we have a question from in social media from Katya Di Bernardini. So it is said that one realizes the Dharmakaya first, and then the Nirmanakaya. Since there is a prophecy in the Kangyur in the Aryatara Tantra section, which speaks of a future supreme Nirmanakaya Tulku of Aryatara, I wonder if in her time she realized only Dharmakaya, and I ask in the time of which Buddha Aryatara lived. Thank you.
Dene ko chiwa sumchi dua rwa. Dene nganso sumche mang chewa rwa tambo nganso choku drub gogire duas. Choku drupe jela. Dene nganso trulku yongire duas. Yeah, sorry, just you're typing. So then, dene de la tene jetsun droma kangyur nanglula kandisla gre netsu chik yores roa maumbala kandisla gre choki trulku jetsun droma choki trulku chik lebgires dene tutse degarang res maumba gi netsu hakoe kandisla gre kangyula Maumba neso di legires, sange di legires, la yamambo duas, dene?
마공에지.
Yeah, maumbe gi neso kaju yongires ki cheshe denso. Kandes lagire.
서서 라차스 대마등에 가라.
Okay, right. Tsik chik yores. Di yana, dene tutsu jema chik, jetsundroma choki truku yongire samlo tangna, dene chichena yeshidawa choku matok tomasons.
말 다때 놓스고. 그때 놓스에서 라면 그러와.
Loso.
미 치크토서나 쭉 인바레스 명도셔스 가디나 도자.
We can't exactly say that because actually once the Dharmakaya is realized, the Nirmanakaya is necessarily realized. It's not like there's like a gap of time between them.
야. 치크 롱크 쭉 공복한가 디노도 도레스.
So just to be clear, the Dharmakaya, the truth body, the Sambhogakaya, the enjoyment body, and the Nirmanakaya, the emanation body, are realized together in one moment.
다 쭉 세는 좁아래야 되는 자 지마
Tak chatsangwa yopadi. But when we say a supreme Nirmanakaya, a supreme emanation body, that means an emanation body with all of the marks and signs. And that manifests the 12 deeds of a fully enlightened Buddha. So a supreme Nirmanakaya means that it is an emanation body with all of the marks and signs, as well as manifesting the 12 deeds of a fully enlightened Buddha in that incarnation. But we have to say, like, if Aryatara, if we're accepting that she realized Dharmakaya, she would have also had to realize Sambhogakaya and Nirmanakaya, because those can't happen in isolation from each other. And what was the last part of the question, Dave? I forget. Was it the time when Yeshidawa was around?
Which Buddha, in the time of which Buddha?
Oh, I couldn't remember. It was Ngadra. So the Tibetan is Ngadra. Tathagata Ngadra. So I didn't know the Sanskrit. That's why. I don't know the Sanskrit. So I'll have to look that up. Sorry. Tibetan is Ngadra. So Geshe says it in Tibetan. But yeah. So that's his name in Tibetan, but I don't know his name in Sanskrit. Sorry. Yeah. It was the Buddha of that particular increment, just like Shakyamuni is the Buddha of this time who turned the Dharma wheel. In that time, it was this Buddha Tathagata Ngadra. I don't know the Sanskrit. I'm sorry. Yeah. It wasn't Kashyapa though. It was one of the ones after that. Yeah. These Tibetan ones, I don't know the equivalents in Sanskrit. So hopefully Ngadra is a good enough answer for venerable. But she's at Lama Tsongkhapa Institute, as I remember. So if she asks one of her friends who the Buddha Ngadra is, they'll be able to tell her, I'm sure. Yeah. I don't have my book with me, so I can't look at it. I'll try to look it up as well. Anything else, Dave? Was there any other question?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. So Geshe wants to close with one brief comment, and then we'll close the class. Los. Yeah. Yeah. Hagosung. Yeah. So Geshe is just going to close with this because people feel, he says people kind of say to him that they don't think it's possible to achieve calm abiding. But anyways, it is possible, and people are still achieving calm abiding in the current time. So he's not sure if he told this before, but just recently, like within the last couple of years, there was a teacher who was doing 200 prostrations a day, and with the balance time, meditating on calm abiding. Within 8 months, he was able to reach the 8th of the 9 levels of calm abiding. So people are still achieving this now, and it is possible. So when he reached the 8th of the 9 abidings, he stopped doing the 200 prostrations and just focused on meditation and was able to reach the final level, the 9th level, very, very quickly. So this is a time in our lifetime, just a few years back, right? It's not somebody who's very, very far away. And so he traveled in various places in India, Bhutan, and other places and gave these instructions. And 200 or 300 of his students also achieved calm abiding. So that's a nice thing to hear, and it should be encouraging for us that even during these difficult times that the world is in now, it's still possible, right, to achieve that calm abiding. So that means, right, that for all of those students who achieved calm abiding, if then they use this to meditate on bodhicitta and so forth, ideally, right, this is bringing forth realization very efficiently. And so out of his students, actually, depending on their affinities, capacities, previous imprints, and so forth, some, just 1 week after listening to his instructions, were able to achieve different levels of calm abiding. And so this was like a couple of decades ago, and so people were hearing about this, and they thought, wow, this is something really incredible. Is it possible? And so somebody went and asked Chöden Rinpoche, so the previous Chöden Rinpoche, when he was still with us, this is like quite an amazing thing. And Chöden Rinpoche's response was, it's good, but it's not amazing in the sense of like, this is what the scriptures say will happen if one practices that way. So that's nice to hear, and that should encourage us that these things are possible, right, if we put the effort into meditation. That being said, while calm abiding is important, we should be paying even more attention to love, compassion, emptiness, and so forth. We shouldn't see calm abiding as the most important thing, because the thing is, you can achieve calm abiding, but then that calm abiding can degenerate later on,
right? That's not the case with emptiness and impermanence. When these are realized, they are not going to degenerate. Then we will be happy all the time, right? This is the profit of that cultivation. So thank you very much, everybody. It was really nice to share this time with you, and we'll be here next Sunday if you're free. See you later. Take care. Bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.